today. So please repeat after me. अविनाशी तु तद्विधि अविनाशी
अविनाशी तु तद्विधि
येन सर्वम् इदं ततं
येन
येन
सर्वमिदं
सर्वमिदं
ततं
ततं
विनाशम् अव्ययस्यास्य
विनाशम्
विनाशम्
अव्यस्यस्य
न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति.
न
न
कश्चित्
कश्चित्
कर्तुमर्हति।
कर्तुमर्हति।
Okay, any volunteer who would like to read the translation?
Haribol, I can read.
Yes, please.
That which pervades the entire body, you should know how to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul.
You can
Purport. Yeah,
continue.
should I continue with purport?
Yes.
Purport. This verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body in part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasures of one body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, and the symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. This soul is described as one of the 10,000th part of the upper portion of the hair point in size. The Shvetashvatra Upanishad confirms this.
I can read
Balagra.
this. I can
Okay.
read this. बालाग्र षट्भागस्य शततः कल्पितस्य च भागो जीवा स विज्ञेय स चान्यन्त्याय कल्पते. When the upper point of a hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts, each such part is the measurement of the dimension of the spirit's soul. Similarly, the same version is stated Keshagra Shatabhagasya Shatamshah Sadrishamakaha Jiva Sukshma Swarupoyam Sankhyatito Hichit Kanaha. There are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000th of the upper portion of hair. So basically what is happening so far, it's a long purport, so we'll just discuss so far. So Krishna is speaking to Arjun in this particular section, and previously he was telling that how the soul is going on the journey within this body. The body is changing from childhood to boyhood to youth to old age, and the soul continues the journey. And when the old person, old age is hitting us, then body slowly is not able to sustain, it doesn't stay good. So soul moves on and takes another body, which is the journey of soul. It is transmigration of the soul, the reincarnation, actually, from one body to another. So as this particular body uh, becomes old and not so much useful, then next body is accepted. So like this is going on, and during the journey there'll be lot of happiness and distress which will come, different phases will come, and one has to tolerate. And one who tolerates, that person is able to uh, go through the other end and will be eligible for liberation. And then Krishna is explaining here that a little bit more about the soul. So what he's saying this particular body is pervaded by something. And what is that? Prabhupada is explaining that is consciousness. We are conscious. Even if a small hair is sitting on a tongue, the tongue is able to feel something bad is there. Small hair, tiny. So that is because it's conscious. All the different cells in our body has consciousness. So this consciousness, what is the source of the consciousness? It's actually the soul. And when it says it pervades the entire body. You should know be indestructible. It is not destroyed. The soul is not destroyed. And Prabhupada is explaining that soul is the origin of the consciousness, and because of the consciousness we are able to perceive all the sensory things, and also because of consciousness we are able to perceive pains and pleasure. And the source, which is the soul, is actually very very tiny, small, 1/10,000th of a tip of the hair. So it's a very very small size of the soul, but the same soul, same size, same in quality, is also there in a small ant or a small bacteria, but also in a huge elephant or blue whale. Just the soul, small, is actually controlling. And the size of the soul is explained in different scriptures like the Shvetashvara Upanishad and others. So I'll continue to read. Who would like to read the next paragraph? Aditi, you want to continue?
Yes, I can continue.
You can continue.
Therefore, the individual particle of spirit soul is a spiritual atom smaller than the material atoms, and such atoms are innumerable. This very small spiritual spark is the basic principle of the material body, and the influence of such a spiritual spark is spread all over the body as the influence of the active principle of some medicine spreads throughout the body. This current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness, and that is the proof of the presence of the soul. Any layman can understand that the material body minus consciousness is a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material admiration. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combinations, but the spirit soul, but the spirit soul. In the Mandaka Upanishad, the measurement of the atomic spirit soul is further explained.
Okay, I can read this. एषोऽनुरात्मा चेतसा विदितव्यो यस्मिन् प्राणां पञ्चधा संविवेशा प्राणैश्चित्तं सर्वमोतं प्रजानां यस्मिन् विशुद्धे विभवति एष आत्मा.
The soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. This atomic soul is floating in the five kinds of air: Pran, Apana, Vyana, Samana, and Udana, is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of the five kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. The Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the five kinds of air, encircling the pure soul of different kinds of sitting postures, not for any material profit, but for liberation of the minute soul from the entanglement of the material atmosphere. So, the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literatures, and it is also actually felt in the practical experience of any sane man. Only the insane man can think of this atomic soul as all pervading Vishnu Tattva. The influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to the Mundaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity. And because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. The industrial atomic soul is definitely there in the heart, along with the supersoul. And thus, all the energies of bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body. The corpuscles which carry the oxygen from the lungs gather energy from the soul. When the soul passes away from this position, the activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. Medical science accepts the importance of the red corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain that the source of the energy is the soul. Medical science, however, does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. Such atomic particles of the spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. In the sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha or the superior energy. So, whether one follows Vedic knowledge or modern science, one cannot deny the existence of the spirit's soul in the body. And the science of the soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad Gita by the personality of Godhead himself. Hari Bol.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So here we see that there's explanation of the size of the soul being very, very small, but at the same time, it is controlling the whole body, and it is the source of consciousness, and it is situated at the region of the heart, the center. It is basically in the center of the body, in the region of the heart, and it is because of the presence of the body, the various functions are happening. So the heart is contracting, the heart is actually making all the blood corpuscles, um, red blood cells, WBCs. There are so many different cells which are actually going all over the body and supplying the blood in various organs. And because of that, consciousness is actually uh, there. Because anything which is alive will have consciousness, and in the body all the living cells, they are actually getting their energy supply from these red blood corpuscles, or the blood basically. And it is explained that the soul is very, very small, but it's a very um, sophisticated system by which it is controlling the whole body. So we had heard about five types of elements, or five elements which the gross body is made up of: earth, water, fire, air, and ether, or sky. And when we talked about air, we said Vayu. So these Vayus are of different kinds. In Ayurveda, they have a lot of application and understanding about this, because the Vedic knowledge, or the Vedic perspective towards the body, is what is in line with Ayurveda also. So pran, apan, vayan, saman, udan. These are the five kinds of airs which are actually functioning. And pran, vayu, you may have heard, right? Pran chale gaye. So pran vayu is the one vayu which is actually very in close proximity with the soul, or atma. And then it is mentioned that how Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling these five kinds of air encircling the soul. So there are different sitting postures, there are asan, pranayam. So like this, there is eightfold yoga system, Ashtanga yoga, by which these can be regulated, and by their regulation, there can be lot of material benefit, lot of health benefit, lot of psychological and mental benefit. And if it is done in accordance with the Vedic scriptures, it can also have spiritual benefit. But doing it to that extent is not easy for anybody in this day and age, because controlling the mind for days, months, is not something which we can do. So therefore, it is having limited application, but it is very helpful. But at the same time, for spiritual benefit, it has to be actually understood that bhakti yoga is much more applicable. So we'll talk about that later in the Bhagavad Gita. But the point here is that these Vayus are actually can be controlled by Hatha Yoga system. Um, then Prabhupada is mentioning that some uh, philosophers, they philosophize that the um, Atma or the soul is all pervading. It means it is there everywhere throughout the universe. But that is not appropriate because we are situated and localized in this place, and our Atma is there within our body. All pervading Vishnu Tattva, it can't be the same. Lord is all pervading, but we are not all pervading. If somebody says we are all pervading, that Prabhupada is saying that is not a very sane argument. And then he's quoting from different scriptures explaining how this particular soul is he's quoting from Mundaka Upanishad, that soul is actually in the region of the heart and controlling the all the functioning. And then in the last paragraph, Prabhupada is mentioning that atomic particles of spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. Sunshines are sunshine has innumerable particles which are coming, radiant molecules. Here it is mentioned. Similarly, the fragmental part of the Supreme are atomic parts of the rays of the Supreme Lord called by the name Prabha or superior energy. So, whether one follow Vedic knowledge or modern science, one cannot deny the existence of spirit soul in the body, and the science of the soul is explicitly explained, described in the Bhagavad Gita. So, Prabhupada is comparing here the atomic particles of the spirit whole with sunshine molecules. So he's just saying that there's the sunshine is actually having a lot of radiating particles coming, but they are very, very small. And similarly, the living entities are actually very, very small uh, rays, which are and sun is like the source of all of that. And similarly, the Supreme Lord is the source of all the jivas or living entities. And in this way we can understand that even there are similar there's a comparison which Prabhupada is making here about the Vedic knowledge and the modern science. So we'll continue to read because there will be more aspects which Krishna will be discussing about the Atma or the soul. Anybody has any questions, comments, or any points in this particular shloka before we go forward? Okay, we'll go to the 18th shloka. Please repeat after me. Antavant ime deha
Antavanta ime deha
nitya shokta sharirina
nityashokta
Nityashokta
sharirana
anasino aprameyasya
anasino
anasino aprameyasya
tasmadyudhyasva bharata.
tasmat yudhyasva bharata.
Okay, can anybody read the translation purpose in this one? Anyone available?
Yes, I can read.
Please.
Translation. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. Purport. The material body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately or it may do so after 100 years. It is a question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely. But the spirit soul is so minute that it seen, cannot even be seen by an enemy or enemy, to say nothing of being killed. As mentioned in the previous verse, it is so small that no one can have any idea how to measure the dimension. So, from both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation, because the living entity as he is cannot be killed, nor can the material body be saved for any length of time or permanently protected. The the minute particle of the whole spirit acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. In the Vedanta Sutra, the living entity is qualified as light because he is part and parcel of supreme light. As sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains this material body. As soon as the spirit soul is out of the material body, the body begins to decompose. Therefore, it is the spirit and which maintain this body. The body itself is unimportant. Arjuna was advised to fight and not sacrifice the ca-
Religion.
cause of religion for material bodily consideration.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So here it is mentioned the material body is is destructible, but the material body of the soul is the one which is indestructible. So body is destructible, soul is indestructible. Body is measurable, but soul, so so even though there was a mention of how small the soul is, but the point is the soul cannot be measured like what we measure our material things. So in that sense, it's immeasurable. And the soul is not like the body, which has the beginning and the end. The body comes to beginning and then ends, but the soul is eternal, so it doesn't have beginning and it doesn't have end. So body ends, soul doesn't end. So therefore, Arjun, why you are thinking of not fighting? You have to do your duty, because the soul will not get destroyed. It cannot have end, and the body, on the other hand, will come to an end sooner or later. So in purport, Prabhupada is explaining that the body, this is the nature. Some animals, they live for very, very small time. In fact, birds or some insects live only for a few days, barely. But there are some, even, humans, or even like animals or trees, which will live much longer. In fact, some trees live for thousands of years. But the point is that sooner or later the body will come to an end. Can't maintain it indefinitely. And that is something which we have to accept. And we should not get deviated from doing our duties. So do your duties, and if you're not able to um, perform your duties, then that will be actually much more of a problem. And Krishna will explain future how that will be a problem. But he's saying, do your dharma, do your duties. So body will not be able to stay eternally, and the soul will not get destroyed. So from both the viewpoints, you should not lament, and you should continue with your duties. That is the whole point here which Krishna is emphasizing. And Prabhupada is also mentioning in the Vedanta Sutra, living entity is qualified as light because he is a part and parcel of the supreme light. As light, sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains this whole body. So just like the sunlight is the reason because of which other planets are able to get energy and survive. Similarly, soul is the reason because of the different parts of the body are able to survive. And then Prabhupada in the end mentions that as soon as the spirit soul is out of the material body is dead, and dead body decomposes. And therefore, it is the soul which maintains the body. Body itself is unimportant, because if the soul is not there, then the body is not important. As soon as the soul departs, the body is dead. What do people do? People either bury or they will burn the body. So the body won't be something which people will keep for too long. So mostly of the situations, they will actually be not of much utility, even though it may be a body of someone's loved one, but still they won't keep the body forever. With the proper procedures, they will actually have to take care of the body and do the antim samskar. And therefore, Arjun is advised to not sacrifice the cause of religion for material bodily consideration and follow the dharma. Okay. Is it clear? Anybody has any questions, comments, any points? Okay, we'll go to 19th.
Hare Krishna. Is
Anji, Hari.
there a soul in the plants also?
Soul is there in the plants also. Yes, that's correct.
Ah,
Any living entity has soul. Soul is the reason why the living entity actually is able to live. Okay, so we'll go to next one. या एनं वेति हन्तारम्
या in या enam veti hantaram
यश्चैनं मन्यते हतम्
yasyanam manyate hatam
उभौ तौ न विजानीतो
ubhato na vijanito
नायं हन्ति न हन्यते.
nayam hanti na hanyate.
Anybody would like to read the translation and purport for this one? Anybody who has
Yes,
not read so far would like to read?
I can read.
Okay, go ahead.
Translation. Neither he who thinks the living entity, the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not, not nor is slain.
Okay, so let me
Purport.
just explain this one and then we
Yes,
can.
yes, yes, sure.
So, what he's saying, Krishna is saying that you are thinking you have killed. So, the killer is the slayer and the killed is the slain. So, Krishna is saying that actually the killer and the killed both are not the cause and the effect. Why? Because the self means the Atma does not die. That is the point. So we'll read the purport and then we'll discuss further. Please go ahead.
Purport. When an embodied living entity is hurt by fatal weapons, it is to be known that the living entity within the body is not killed. The spirit soul is so small that it is impossible to kill him by any material weapon, as will be evident from subsequent verses. Nor is the living entity killable because of his spiritual constitution. What is killed or is supposed to be killed is the body only. This, however, does not at all encourage killing of the body. The Vedic injunction is ma himsyat sarva bhutani. Never commit violence to anyone, nor does understanding that the living entity is not killed encourage animal slaughter. Killing the body of anyone without authority is abominable and is punishable by the law of the state as well as by the law of the Lord. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in killing for the principle of religion and not whimsically. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Great. So here is saying neither he who thinks the living entity, the slayer, nor he who thinks it's slain is in knowledge. So the Atma is never dead, right? Only the body is the one which actually has an end. So somebody can say, Acha, that's great. So then I can go kill around, maybe kill animals, eat animals by killing, or use their body for making different items which we want to use in our daily life. So that should be all okay, because here it says, but no, that is not the right thing. Here, Arjun has to do this as a last resort. Before the battlefield, before they all came to the battlefield, they had already tried all negotiations. Krishna had personally gone and tried to convince Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan, everybody, and they had not accepted the proposals. And what was the proposal? It wasn't like, extreme proposals. Krishna said, these are great kings. They had huge kingdom. You have taken all the kingdom by cheating. That's okay. You can keep all of that. Just give them 5 villages. And Duryodhan said, I cannot even give them enough land equal to the tip of the needle. So then Krishna said, okay, then you are heading towards your own destruction. And that's what happened. So because Duryodhan was bent upon doing such nonsense activities, it was important to establish Dharmaraj, Dharma. Dharma has to be established. And Yudhishthir Maharaj was all in favor of Dharma. That's why he was Dharmaraj, Yudhishthir. And he was the one whom Krishna was going to make the king. And therefore, for doing such an activity, Arjun has to take, the situation in his own hands, under the instruction and the guidance of Krishna, to win the war. And during the process of the war, killing is unavoidable. So that is the point. So therefore, Krishna is explaining that you have to understand, in this particular situation, it's not you who are the killer. Just like um, Arjun is becoming an instrument in the hands of Krishna, so Arjun does not actually get any karma, any negative karma. So if we become instrument in the hand of Krishna, then we also don't have any negative karma. We actually become totally immune to any reactions which may come in such a way. For example, a soldier, he goes to fight for their country, and in the fight he kills, hundreds of people in the opposite army, and he comes back. And when he comes back, the government gives them medal. The government gives them big prize. Why? Because he did so much for the country. But if the same person goes to their home and kills the neighbor next door for no reason, or for some fight, then government is not going to give medal. The government is actually going to put him in jail. So he may ask, Arey, I killed 100 people there, you gave me medal. Now for this one person I'm killing, you are putting me in jail. What is the problem? So problem is very simple. That time when you went to the border and killed the opposite army, that was in accordance with the desire of the government. You were actually made to do that. But if you're killing your neighbor, that's not according to the desire of the government. That's not according to your dharma. You're doing it in a personal level, so you'll get all the reactions. Similarly, if Arjuna goes and kills under the direct supervision of Krishna, Arjuna does not get any karmic reactions, he doesn't get anything. But even those people who he kill, all of those people will go to higher destination. All the people will get the benefit, because Arjun is a great devotee. And anyone getting killed by Krishna, or in front of Krishna, or by a devotee of Krishna, all of them get a lot of benefit. So, of course, those who serve Krishna, serve the devotee of Krishna, they get much higher benefits. But even those who get killed by the devotee, they also get the benefit. Of course, they'll have the pain. They have to go through all the suffering because of the bad activities they may have performed, but the ultimate destination will be very, very high for them. So that is the point here. Okay. Anybody has any questions, comments, or any points they want to bring up for discussion? So we read 3 shlokas today from 16 from 17 to 19. So next one is a little bigger. The purport is a little bigger, 20th. So we'll do it next week. We'll stop here. Granth Raj Bhagavad Gita